Hey guys, welcome back. It's Cam. Today I want to show you an update of my grow rack here for my dendrobium and cattleyas and whatever orchids I can put in these racks here. Previously, I have a two-tier rack system where I have a top tier and a bottom tier. The problem with the two-tier rack is that the bottom rack does not receive sufficient light. And you know how I water, every time I water with my garden hose. And the problem with it is the top rack, when I water it, all the water drip down to the bottom rack, resulting some of the orchids not happy about it. So I decided to change the setup a little bit. I built this new rack here. I tore down the previous rack and I built this one instead. Now I have a way to protect my plants from the avocado flower or any of the leaves dropping down on my orchids. If you guys see my previous video about my semi-hydroponics setup where there's a lot of organic materials which coming from mainly just these avocado trees flowers when it blooms in the springtime. Now, I wouldn't have this problem if I grow indoor, but since I grow everything outdoors, I don't have any indoor setup per se. I only bring my orchids in to enjoy the blooms. After it's bloomed, it goes straight outdoor. And this grow rack behind me here, as you can see, I have set it where it's pretty much like a stepped. So I have 4 tiers instead of 2. But each tiers, they're not overlapping each other, so they're not sitting on top of each other's. Instead, they're just like a step. This kind of grow rack would also provide sufficient ventilations for my orchids because there's nothing underneath, okay, other than soil and some empty spaces between them. The tallest rack there, it's about 30 inches from the ground. The lowest one is about 12 inches from the ground. And every other one is about 6 inches increment. All right, and let's go over this setup and show you how I protect my orchids from now on. With this setup though, if it's too much sun, I could put a shade cloth over it, and so my plants doesn't have to suffer sunburn in the summertime. I don't see any sunburn, but I measure the foot candle. It can go about 8,000 foot candles, and I think might be a little too much sun for some of the orchids here. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna put some brackets around just in case I want to put a shade cloth over, which I could. All right, so let's go take a tour of my new rack and see some of the orchids that are growing right now, and you can see what's growing under it right now. Okay, so this is how the entire system works. Is there's the top rack, there's the second one, there's the third one, and there's the bottom one. Each rack is 6 inches in difference in height. The top one is 30 inches. Okay, so I put my pretty much dendrobium on the top rack because they could receive a lot more sun. They need a lot more sun in that. And I moved some of my dendrobium from my greenhouse out here. And I want to do a update on this one right here. This is the dendrobium speciosum. Has a two new giant growth. This is actually an interesting stuff, and I would do definitely do a different video on this one. I want to show you the medias, what's inside the media. Majority of you guys gonna be scared about it, but I'll do a video on how the media looks like after 6 months of using organic fertilizer. Now let's take a look at my dendrobium here. My dendrobium tie here, it is growing new canes right now, and majority of them already have new growth, so that's a good sign. There's the new growth, and I hope you can see those as well. A little bright over there in that sections, and a lot of them have new growth. Now these Oncidium spaculatum, I could never get these to flower for me, so I don't know what I did wrong. If you guys grow specialitums, let me know if you guys can rebloom them in California. I couldn't get it to bloom. Okay, so most of my dendrobiums are growing really nice. There's a new grow right here, as you can see, and a bunch of keikis here with nice root system right now. I repotted all these orchids because the media was full of that what should I call this, avocado flower. So I have to pretty much repot all my orchids. And you have that many to repot, it's a lot of work. This cattleya here, it was sitting on the bottom rack, so it was not really getting enough light. That's why the leaves are a little too green. Now I put it out here, hopefully it get more light now. And there's my cattleyas. This is cattleyas Lottie Jessii. My Laelia is not growing yet. And Dendrobium warmobu, it's already grown new growth. It's already matures. This was sitting on a bottom rack, so it doesn't receive enough sunlight. That's the reason why the cane is a little smaller. And there goes a new growth right here. Very happy to see the result of this. This were from my greenhouse, so I moved them out here. These are grammatophyllum, and I moved them out here. Those are imported a couple months back. And my dendrobium is growing here. If you guys wondering what happened to the bigger division of this, I sold this already because somebody came to my my place and they wanted that big one. So I sold that big one. I don't have the big one anymore. I only have the small division now. So the big one was potted into a 2-gallon pot. Somebody wanted it, so I give it up. I don't know if this is rot or what, but anyway, these, hopefully in a couple of months I see some new growth. Hopefully I will see some new growth. So far I haven't seen any new growth yet. I think they still recover from the shocks from the transportations overseas. And this is the red emperor, new growth right now. This grows strictly in just pebbles or rocks, nothing else. No other medias in there, just rocks. I want to see if it's actually gonna grow. And my Kingianum, it's growing like weed for me right now. Kingianums are very easy to care for. If you guys never grow one, I recommend you grow one. They're very easy to care for. They grow like weed here in California. And this one has not shown any sign of new growth yet, but I do see an active growth coming up pretty soon. I'm not sure you can see it right there. Hopefully the camera will focus right there, in between there. That's a new growth. And this thing finally put on new growth after I repotted it. I guess it was not happy with the previous media that it was in. Like I said, there was a lot of drop from the avocado trees, and hence why that's the problem. Now, what I did was temporary. I put a plastic cover on top with some wires, garden wires, to hold it from it flying too high. Now, anything, this is slightly angled down, so anything falls on top will just gonna fall down naturally. It's not gonna be sitting on top of the plastic cover there. If I need to put a shade cloth over it, I can put a shade cloth over it. And so, as you can see, it's very bright in the daytime. Even though I don't get sunburn on my dendrobium, but I think they'll be much happier if I provide some shades. I don't know what you guys think, but that's what I'm gonna do right now. Is probably put some shade cloth over when the temperature gets a little more hotter. Right now it's about 80s, high 80s, 90s. It's still okay, bearable for my plants. And I don't want to get sunburned on these plants. So right now, most of my orchids are very happy. This system, I don't have any water running on top of my orchids when I water them with my garden hose. And I could put more orchids with this styles than my previous one, because previous one, if I put anything on the bottom tray, on the bottom rack, it would not get enough sunlight towards the wall there. Okay, but now the light is evenly distributed all across all my plants, and that will be much more happier. So let me know how you guys put your plants outdoor. If you guys have a rack system, it's perfectly fine, but I find that I think this is much more efficient ways, and to avoid any contamination in your orchids. You don't want any bacteria or viruses from your infected plants to drip down on the lower and on any plants below them. And that's the reason why I changed my setup, even for my Cymbidium as well. You guys probably noticed it from my previous videos that my Cymbidium grow rack has already made the changes. And today I just want to show you my other grow rack that I've changed as well. So I think in the future, if I need more grow rack space, this is exactly how I'm going to build them. And I think this is better system where I could just water them, and I don't have to worry about water dripping over my plants. This will actually be really nice. Hopefully I can see more active growth now the temperatures are warming up. That's it, guys. I just want to show you my new changes here for the grow rack. The reason why I did it is because I don't want any dropping from the avocado trees. You can see here 2 giant avocado trees. When it blooms, all that stuff is gonna fall down on my orchid. That's the reason why I don't want it. Now I finally clean them up, repot them all, change out the media. My old media I put into hard compost or put in my gardens. Let the worms eat them. Just kind of feed the worms. So hopefully with this, you guys gonna see more growth. Because before I don't notice a lot of growth, and I think that's the reason why. It's that the light distribution is not properly distributed. Some orchids receive more light than the other, and some don't. And so that is the reason why I'm doing this. All right, guys, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any different way of placing your orchids outdoor, different kind of rack that you guys use, how you guys place them outdoor, I would love to see pictures of them if you guys could share your pictures. And any comment would be appreciated. Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you next video.